Hello. So today I'm going to talk about words you can't say on the internet, or you can say in some cases. You can't always say them. They're not bad words of them by themselves. It's how you use them. So, but they can get your videos canceled or not published. And just want to talk about this. So, interesting thing about just to show how ridiculous some of this is. There was a commercial. Excuse me. For back when everyone was making marijuana legal. A commercial for gummies. I mean, it starts out, guy answers the door, and it's like, "Hey, Uncle Dave, what are you doing here?" And Uncle Dave, "Oh, I came over to get high with your mom." And little banter back and forth. And it is for bleep gummies. And the word they bleeped out was cannabis. A lot of background noise, so I had the closed captioning on so I could see it. It said the word cannabis in the closed caption, but they bleeped it in the words, in the voice. So you just had a guy talking about getting high, which was perfectly fine with these censors, but you couldn't mention cannabis. That seems a little bit off. I mean, it's sort of like, Energizer commercial. Buy Energizer for all your devices to keep, power all your devices. Buy our bleep. Everyone who knows what Energizer is knows I'm talking about batteries. So, but in the case, with the cannabis commercial, I mean, that's the equivalent. You're allowed to talk about the name of the product. You're allowed to say what it does. But you're not allowed to say what the product actually is. So that's like, you can't say battery. So Energizer, power up all your devices with our D-cell bleep. Now, again, not a huge fan of marijuana or recreational marijuana or any of that, but it just seems sort of odd that you could actually have people in the commercial talk about getting high, but you couldn't say cannabis. Okay, now haven't seen it for a while, so perhaps this one is actually getting censored. There was a propagandist, I saw some of his videos 6 years ago or so. I call him a propagandist because anyone who disagrees with what he says, states an opinion opposite of his, he just came out and said, these people are guilty of mental rape. Now, that's why I call him a propagandist, is not because I disagree with him, but because his response is just to accuse everyone of mental rape if they disagree with him. You can disagree with me, just have a good argument. Don't just throw out this emotional, made-up term. I bring that up because nowadays you can't say rape in videos, no matter the context. I mean, there are people talking about actual social issues, describing actual events that took place. Cannot say rape. They will say sexually assaulted. It is a charged word. People use it as a joke sometimes. It shouldn't be. But again, free speech. You can be an idiot and use it wrong if you want. But at the same time, if you use it correctly, if you're talking about social issues, you should be able to say it, in my opinion. There are some people, depending on the region or the platform they're on, they won't even say sexual assault. They'll try to come up with another, just they were molested, and you're supposed to assume what was meant. Well, that's another one. it's understandable. It is a sort of a hot word, and yes, someone who has suffered from it might be a little triggered if they hear someone else say it. And again, people do use it as if it's a joke sometimes, which it shouldn't be. Those people are jerks. But at the same time, if you want to discuss social issues, you've got to be free from time to time to say the word rape, because it is a social issue that comes up from time to time. Now the N word. This one, I'm actually considering giving it its own video at some point, not because of the idea of censorship as we're talking, but because the double standard of who's allowed to use it and how it's allowed to be used and stuff like that. But one thing I have noticed, since we're on the topic of things being banned or out, people have been coming up with clever ways to say it. And some of these people are racist, and I'm, against that. Others, they're saying it ironically. Because, again, there is a double standard. And so they're fitting these code words in, which you know what they really mean. And they're not doing it to be racist. They're doing it to be ironic. And I'm in favor of that. And black people do it too. You want to discuss racial issues, and you want to discuss certain behavior, certain word use, certain whatever, you've got to occasionally be able to say the N-word. And in order to do that, they got to use these little code words. And so while, yes, I am in general against people running around saying the N-word, and I mean everybody, no protected classes, no, it means one thing when we say it and another thing when you say it, when it obviously doesn't. But now we have these code words going on, which again, and are we going to have now a dozen new words you're not allowed to say online because they're being used as code for the N-word? Yeah. As we go along, we're going to have more and more forbidden words just because we substituted a word for another one you're not allowed to say before. And so when will all of these be out? Along those same lines, when will African American be out? It's been around for 25 years now. I'm surprised it lasted 25 years. And yes, it's a good thing. It's not, racially charged like all these other words. Yes, not yet. And I'm surprised it's not. Because all it would have taken, the reason it's not is because the racists, the white supremacists, the people I am against all that, they never said it. They continued to use the N-word or some other slur. If they had started saying African American, then by now people would say, well, that's a racially charged word now because white supremacists are using it. And so we would have to come up with another word. 25 years, it would have gone away if the white supremacists had started using it. Instead, they refused to use it, so now it's still around. Now, I still say white and black. And, ooh, that's racially bad. That's what people said when I was growing up. And everyone said it. White people and black people. And I know black people who don't like African American. They would prefer to be called black. And this goes into the whole, trans thing. What are your pronouns? Do I have to ask you your pronoun before I talk to you? Now, do I have to ask you, do you want to be called black or African American? And I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to default to what I say, not meant as an insult. And if you take it as an insult, I'm sorry, but it's not an insult. Not intended as one. If you have to start walking around here asking people their preferred word usage, it's never going to end. So I still say, and black, everyone said it. But racists started saying it in a negative tone of voice. Oh, these black people, okay, well, now it becomes a slur. If you want to get technical, go back with the N-word, go back to the 1800s, it wasn't a racial slur. It became one because people started using it in a negative context. Now then, gun. I know people, I've mentioned this before, military, historians like military history, talking about military history, they have to bleep over the word gun because you can't say it on certain platforms, or they will be demonetized if they say it on certain platforms, or certain areas of the world you're not allowed to say gun. I mean, that's a little weird. I can understand encouraging people to go up and shoot up schools is wrong. But how many of those people did it because someone said the word gun? And if I make a video comparing the muskets of the Revolutionary War and which ones worked better, am I going to inspire someone to shoot up schools if I say the word gun? And the answer is no, unless they're really, really, really stupid. So that's another, that's a weird one. Especially, I can watch movies online. I can watch people shooting up villages or shooting up neighborhoods. I can watch people swearing. I can see naked people. I can see all sorts of things. But I make a YouTube video mentioning any of this stuff, and it is wrong because I might be inspiring people to do wrong. I don't buy it. This is stupid. And I occasionally see a paid advertisement on YouTube trying to ban guns. Sandy Hook Promise, and they say the word gun, I believe, in that video. They're allowed to, but they pay for it. So they're allowed to. It's not banned. And they are also taking a certain position. But the guy who's talking about, Civil War muskets or Revolutionary War muskets or whatever is also taking a certain point of view. It's the historical use of the weapon, which is not inflammatory in any way. So he should be allowed to talk about guns. Let's see, what else? Bomb is one they also can't talk about in military stories or videos. Oh, now, I mean, we've gotten to the point where I've seen, Zoomers have a new word, unalive. You can't say dead in some places. It's wrong. It's scary. It's negative. I saw someone made a video where they were looking forward to the day when they wouldn't have to say unalive. And again, you can say it in a movie and then play that movie on YouTube or on other video platforms. You just can't say it in a homemade video. Why? I don't know. And most of these are words that the news will, I will see these on news feeds. And news feeds which are played on YouTube. Talking about a shooting, talking about whatever, and there's a clip from local nightly news, and they're talking about guns, or they usually won't say rape, but they will, they will describe it at least as sexual assault. They'll mention bombs if it's applicable. They will mention various drug names if they are applicable. And all of these words, I have nothing wrong with the use of all these words if it is applicable. Just running around saying them for no reason or because you can say them or whatever, that's stupid. And like I said, jerks exist, they're going to exist. The idea that my saying them, because I've said a bunch of words which, will this video be banned? It shouldn't be. Because, everything I have said, A, I've seen in other videos which have been on YouTube. And B, I've been using in a context which is not meant to inspire people to do violence or anything. It is a discussion on free speech, basically. And that should be allowed. When you ban a discussion on free speech, then you can't quite claim to be a free speech platform. Now then, facial recognition. Weird little tangent here. But they talk about crime took place, and facial recognition, they were able to pick the guy out in less than 24 hours, and the police arrested him, and look how great the technology is. And my answer to that is, it doesn't work like that. The program looks for certain facial features, it goes through a database of pictures, it picks out people with those, maybe 50 people with those same facial features. Then a person sits down and goes through and compares the video or the picture or whatever of the suspect to these pictures and says, it's this guy. The computer isn't making that choice. The computer is just narrowing down your search. Then a human has to sit down and actually do the final judgment. Sometimes it's more than one human, and they sit down and it could be these two. What do you think? It's closer to this guy. Yeah, I agree. And I bring that up because we got these censor bots out there. And they go through and, here's a bad word. This video can't be played. No. What is the context of the word? If it is a negative context, yeah, I'm not against censoring it. It is your platform after all. Don't claim to be a free speech platform and censor everything. But yes, you can have standards for what can be said. Just make sure people know their standards and what the standards are. Make sure they're good standards. Not just this word is bad. It's the use of the word that is bad. Now we have AI. Microsoft. Windows, the new Windows came with, Copilot, which nobody likes. Google has an AI. You do a search, the first thing that will pop up is their AI's little paragraph about what you're looking for. Is this helpful? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Why can't we do the same with this? We got our chat bot or our censor bot looking for negative words. Now we just go one step forward and have these videos sent to our AI bot who looks at the context of the words. Because AI sometimes it does a good job looking at context, sometimes it doesn't. But it can look through and say, this guy's talking about military history. We're going to approve his use of the word gun. This guy's talking about social justice. We're going to use approve his word of whatever. As opposed to, this guy is obviously asking for people to hurt other people. We're going to ban his video. That would be a good use of, and again, you still have to come out with your guidelines as to what's going to be censored and what's not. So that's it. Like I said, there's a chance this video will never make it up. There's another chance someone will look at it and say, he said nothing wrong. Because most of what I said has been said on other videos. And again, the only thing I'm inspiring people to do is support free speech, which supposedly most of these platforms are about. That's all. Have a nice day.